Montgomery hits 80 on debut, but Notts fall short of parity. There was very little to separate Glamorgan and Nottinghamshire on day one at Sophia Gardens. Sam North East's half-century helped the hosts to a first innings total of 318 before Notts got their innings underway. 9 overs faced, 19 scored, and the deficit 299 heading into day two. Hamid and Slater picked up where they had left off. Up a gear now though, the opening partnership a constructive one. 50 brought up after a little more than half an hour together on day two. The pair made it to 64 when Harris provided Glamorgan with their first wicket. Slater late on the delivery and bowled for 31. Matt Montgomery strode out to join Hasib Hamid for his LV County Championship debut, and the Notts pair picked up the baton and continued to build the innings for their side. Before long, they'd moved to three figures, up to the mark as Montgomery turned Harris into the leg side for two. And with the score up to 110, Hamid dropped to one knee, swept Salter through the leg side for 4 and moved to 50, scored off 85 balls, the boundary his 9th so far. There was no more cause for concern for Nottinghamshire. They headed into the break on 130 for 1, a solid start from the visitors, trailing now by 188. James Harris was back in the attack after lunch and back in the wickets. The delivery to Hamid stayed low, and it wasn't long before he had his third of the innings. Joe Clark only able to add 14 before he left the ball to clatter into his off stump. It was proving to be some debut for Montgomery though. He'd stayed calm as the wickets tumbled around him, and with 200 looming, he accelerated. Up to 50 with a boundary off Nisa, the mark reached off 108 balls. Lyndon James was now at the other end and brought some more attacking impetus to the middle, racing through his innings, scoring at a runner ball as Nottinghamshire swept past 200 and he moved to the cusp of 50. He slowed a little en route to the mark, but the half-century was his when he pushed Hogan for 2 through the offside. The deficit now down into double figures. It was 50 and out for James, outcaught by Lloyd at slip off the bowling of Hogan. Mullaney joined Montgomery in the middle, flicked 4 off Lloyd to bring up the 250 and led them off for tea soon after. Notts now just 68 in arrears. The skipper only added 1 more to his total after the break before Harris struck for his 4th, courtesy of the Byram catch in the leg side. Patterson White followed with Notts still 44 behind, caught by North East off the bowling of Lloyd, and Everson managed 2 off 7 before he flicked Hogan down the leg side to Cook. Montgomery was the latest in what was turning into a bit of a recession, bowled by Nisa for 80, Notts trailing by 34. Fletcher couldn't get off the mark, out floating a catch to Byram off Hogan, and Hogan finished them off. Patterson bowled for a 3-ball duck, Notts all out for 285, 33 behind their hosts. It was simple stuff for Lloyd and Byram. The account opened without incident. 50 runs added, the lead inflated late in the day, and Glamorgan's innings off to a solid start, the opening duo wandering off with the score 53 for none. That leaves them with a lead of 86 heading into day 3. Notts not quite as confident as they may have been heading into the second day, but neither side have really taken this game by the scruff of the neck. If both want to win this, someone's going to have to take some control.
Well, James, Nottinghamshire pretty much on top of the first 2 sessions. Glamorgan end the day in the driving seat. How do you turn it round?
Well, we're really happy with the last session. We thought 110 for 1 at lunch. We were possibly staring down the barrel of a really tough few sessions to follow. I think 250 for 4 they were at one point when we got that sort of 5th wicket, and yeah, look, we managed to knock them over, which was great. To take a lead out of that is really pleasing, and then for the boys to go out and play as well as they did for the last hour there has really set us up after 2 pretty good days.
For yourself, always looks good to have bowls next to the name of the first 3 batsmen. You kept chipping away there.
Yeah, it came out okay today. Nice, tried to do as good a job as I could, hit the wicket. We got a little bit of movement out of it, which certainly helped, and yeah, to get some good players at the top of the order there, so to get some of them out is good. But look, we're just really happy with the position we find ourselves in after 2 days, 2 hot days. Obviously a bit more sort of cooler, muggier today, but yeah, 2 hot days nonetheless.
The 4th wicket was an important one as well for the team, wasn't it? Mullaney caught it a deep square off, one which may have been a cunning trap, or maybe not possibly a best ball.
There wasn't too much of a cunning trap about it, no. It was one of those that just sort of goes straight to the fielder. But yeah, you earn those sometimes. You earn those by bowling well. Some of those sometimes go your way. Plenty of other times they go to the rope or something like that. So you take them all, and it was an important one in the end for us.
And the team position now, 80 odd ahead with all your wickets in hand. How do you see things?
Well, we couldn't be more pleased really with how that day's finished. Like it's just a day tomorrow to try and bat. There's a few demons in that pitch. It's only probably going to get worse, you'd say, over the next sort of couple of days. Bat as well as we can tomorrow, score as many as we can, and we'll see where we are towards the back end of the day.
What particularly is the pitch?
master his stats, and Martin's got to do
So are you a bachelor's what? Science.
Joy went to Westfield College, I think.
He did. He went to very, very first.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It was maths, physics and something else he did. Setting up he set up the,
Given up, right?
he got
Public administration.
I said degree.
So what does that entail? Mishmash, all sorts of things, social sciences, stats, sociology.
Well, I thought the education was around the big 70s. When did you get college? Well, my brother, I'm 75, so my brother's 74.
It must have been an accountant, that job.
My dad was in the game.
Still grammar.
That one. Oh yeah.
A long day, John. Happy or something.
Sorry? Well, I think you Montgomery particularly right now. I mean, got one
It just shows you that one bad session
and then 221 can do the same.
Oh yeah. And then when they won it, they went their own way. They went downside.
You're going in front of the school. Oh, not in front of the school.
Where have they signed now? Who's come now? Oh, was he? How long's he out for? Right. Okay. Thing is, I thought long time he was getting anyway.
You know where my son ended up? His friend ended up in the welfare school.
debating the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Already here?
Are they already right?
I'm waiting for Nottingham to do
All in favour of we've got it in all the not working. Driven from the pedal. Pedal block in the centre. It is faster because you go along at a steady 16 or 17 miles an hour on open roads, clear cycle paths, something like that. And it just gives you a boost. I mean, you're pedaling just as you would be push bike. And the other
So it's a bit like going on those conveyor belts at railway stations. It's the same sort of principle.
yes, it is. Yeah.
Still going, you're still walking.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it came last Tuesday.
How is it then?
It's fabulous. It's a big thing. And it's great because you switch it on, you've got like a car dashboard. It tells you how fast you're going, how fast your pedal rotation is. Because there's an optimum pedal rotation to maximise battery use. And there's a little strip that changes from red to orange to green. When you get to green, you're fine.
So that's optimal.
Yeah, yeah. And you do that when you're doing it, you know, if I cycle straight away in the line from here to the other side of the ground, by halfway I'll jump to green. Yeah. And so if you're just going along the open road, that's fine. And then
How's the battery work? You have to recharge it.
you have to recharge it, yeah. I reckon I've done about 45 miles on one charge. It's a hefty beast. The good thing is you can switch off the power and just use it as an ordinary bike. Yeah. So when I went out the other day and taking pictures in the village, I did it before. So I'm just cycling around using it as a bike. You wouldn't want to do it to cycle uphill because it's very heavy. But that's it, and as you can probably see, it's a bit bigger, it's sort of longer than normal. Not something really do on posing in a wildlife garden during the sun. Yeah, I'm very pleased with it so far. Last Tuesday. Yeah. So, mind you, because it's valuable, you need insurance policy on it.
Is it better to have it on when you're out in the country, in the city, versus
Probably, yeah.
You don't want to be stopping and starting.
But it's got these 4 modes. One is off, the other one is eco, which is the most efficient one. But if you want a bit more oomph, there's one called sport, which pushes you along a bit faster. And then there's a thing called turbo, and the bloke in the shop said you never use that brand.
If you live in Wolverhampton,
Well, if you wanted to go up Sumsbury Road,
well, that's what I've seen prior.
yeah.
I'm surprised, Gum.
Yeah. But I bought it principally because during lockdown I did so much cycling. You know, as soon as my book goes, said you can only go out for an hour. I thought, well, but you said it's probably not true. And I took the view that if I was out in the fresh air on the country lane, I would barely see anybody else but another cyclist. And so I used to go out in the morning on a sunny day. But I really have done everywhere within range to death. Yeah, so I'll get a bit further. You know,
So how far away from Cambridge? Are you normally doing something like a 13 mile?
yes, probably.
This will take you to 20
Yeah, so this will take me 20 miles. Yeah. You also feel like that out in the Thames when it's a bit windy as well.
You know everybody else is right.
No. No, I went to this place Rutland Cycle. I was very, they're all over the place, and they've got an electric bike centre quite near where I live. So I went and talked to them. You can always tell with somebody, is this bloke giving me the answer?
Well, that's what Brian used to do, you know, Brian.
I know. And I thought, you know, this bloke is, I told him exactly what I wanted it for. And he said, well, you don't want that, you don't want that. So I'm going to show you a Bosch machine. He said, they're the best ones. Long way. So I looked at it, and he said, but I'm not going to try and sell you this one. I'm trying to sell you this one. And also, I would look at £200 cheaper and actually better all for your money. Yeah. Yeah, you know, as you do your chat. And it turned out he'd been taught by some people that kind of know from school. I didn't feel that I was getting a hard sell or anything like that. And rather than I was getting good advice. So I took it. And initially they said, we're having supply difficulties, you know, same as with cars and washing machines and everything else, dependent on the supply of computer chips. So you probably won't get it till August. Yeah. Because I just ended June. Anyway, amazingly, last week, I got a telephone call from them. Because I'll find the optimum use for it through doing it. I've only had about 20-odd mile trips so far.
Where have you written there?
Not particularly. I've been out sort of south-east. I haven't gone as far as Exley yet. But it would be within range. That's Sunday, isn't it? It's going to be very hot.
How far's Newmarket?
About 12 miles, 15.
That was in the pedal
12 or 15.
without battery.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Next door to Newmarket.
So can you get as far as Suffolk?
Oh yeah, yeah. Suffolk border's not very far.
Exning, just in Suffolk.
Yeah. Yes, I think it is. I think it's Suffolk.
Well, Newmarket.
Newmarket is Suffolk, yeah. It's in a kind of out from. So I think Newmarket must have been in Cambridge. It used to be. Yeah. 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 Bournemouth was all Hampshire. Yeah. Newmarket must have been in Cambridge because there are places where in Cambridge where it says Newmarket Rural District Council on bridges and things like that. You know. So I'm not sure when it was taken into Suffolk. Sometime in the 20th century. Yes. But you like it.
Playing for Cambridge University in about 76, 77, 78 now. First class.
What?
So Glamorgan very much with the better of the opening 25 minutes play here at Sophia Gardens. Apologies again for the technical issues we've had and the loss of sound. I'm sure those of you following the live stream have been able to keep up to speed with Glamorgan's progress. They've moved from overnight 53 without loss fairly swiftly to 84 without loss, and Nottinghamshire's response has been to take pace off the ball. Dane Patterson coming on for his first over of the day. His first over indeed of this Glamorgan second innings. Didn't get a wicket in the first innings. We're bowling to Eddie Byram, who's on 46. With Glamorgan's lead already 117. Nottinghamshire desperately in need of a breakthrough, and followed that up with a couple more quickly, just to redress the balance of the contest. Glamorgan running away with it at the moment as Patterson White from the river end comes in. Slow left arm bowls, and this one's kicked away, and there's no run. Next deliveries played up to mid-on by Byram. Patterson doing the fielding, no addition to the total. Morgan getting off to a splendid start on this third day. 20 runs from the first 2 overs. They've continued in the same vein, although Notts have just managed to dry things up a little bit. This latest delivery clipped to mid-wicket, fielded by Lyndon James. That's left his left hand stinging a little bit. It was nicely struck by Byram, who's in search of a boundary to reach. What will be a splendid half-century if he gets there, and very nearly tracked that on. Went down looking to sweep. Right, just a bottom edge that. If he got anything on it at all. Very low down outside the off stump. Could have brought his downfall. An area Patterson White will be looking to exploit. Balls again slightly flatter, so whipped away off his hit by Byram. And he'll just get a single. Luke Fletcher out there on the rope in front of the daffodil stand. One more to Glamorgan. 85 without loss, lead by 118. It's David Lloyd, skipper, back onto strike. He's on 34. Patterson White around the wicket.
Tell comms that.
Balls, this is
we're dialed in on 401.
Nudged back to the bowler, so tidy enough from Liam Patterson White. He goes for a single from his first over, and it's 85 without loss.
So we're now going through this on the Glamorgan website, and Cardiff have to ring a new number in Salford. Not that worried about it at the moment, Ed. So.
Right, that's all right. Just let them play.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, good.
Almost a chance then, as Byram didn't have that first ball of the over from Patterson quite under control. Welcome along to our commentary via the Glamorgan Cricket website. We are just about patched in on that via a backup method, and we hope to resume BBC commentary fairly soon. 85 without loss as Patterson runs away from us and bowls to Byram. Still the 2 slips there. Byram has a swish at that and doesn't make contact. Through it goes to keeper Clark, and there's no run. 85 without loss then. Glamorgan having been 53 for naught overnight. It has been a bright start by Glamorgan, with Lloyd taking 7 off the first over of the day, and then Byram joining in the acceleration. Patterson in round the wicket, bowls, and Byram drives that one out into the covers. There's no run. So a bit of blue sky around this morning, not the overcast nature of yesterday. We really did have heavy, sultry conditions all day. Patterson turns, runs away from us at the Cathedral Road end. Bowls, and Byram slightly squared up by that one. It's being tested at the moment, Eddie Byram. as he looks to add to the twice that he's passed the 50 mark already this season in 4 championship games. 3 championship games, this is only his 3rd. So he had 176 against Sussex, 57 in the first innings against Worcestershire. So on 47 here. As he runs that one down to 3rd man with minimal fuss. And they go through for a single. Byram to 48 off 84 deliveries. Excitement from a crowd of school children somewhere in the distance. .86 for naught. Patterson in, bowls, and turned on the leg side by Lloyd, but well intercepted by the man running round from mid-wicket, Lyndon James, and there is no run. So testing over from the South African paceman, but Steve Mullaney and his troops still searching for the breakthrough, with Glamorgan 119 runs to the good. First innings advantage of 33 thanks to Nottinghamshire's late collapse last night. It's really the dismissal of Mullaney himself that set it off. Caught deep on the leg side off James Harris to give Harris his 4th wicket. He bowled the first 3, and then we saw Michael Neser chipping in to get rid of Matt Montgomery, and Michael Hogan finishing off the rest. Liam Patterson-White then to bowl and Byram to defend. Picked up by James, tossed back to the spinner. This one clipped away down towards 3rd man, and that will be Byram's 50. Taking him 86 deliveries and a lovely reverse sweep to get to that margin, to that target. That was Byram's 9th boundary. Patterson-White into Byram again, and tries to make room for himself and clips it onto his pad, and the ball rolls back up the wicket to Patterson-White. 90 for naught. Glamorgan lead by 123. As Byram is forward with a flick of the wrist, turning that one down towards backward square, safely enough. It's fielded by Luke Fletcher, who is one of the Sun Hat Brigade today. 1 point on the opening day. Nottinghamshire came out with multiple Sun Hats, virtually everyone was wearing them. Patterson-White is round the wicket and beats Lloyd. Looked like a little bit of turn there from the angle that we have. Watching from over deep fine leg for the right-handed Lloyd at strike on this end. One slip, 6 saving the single as Lloyd drives, but fairly gently to mid-on. The end of the spinner's over, 91 without loss.
50 came off 86 balls and included 9 fours.
So apologies for the late arrival of commentary on the Glamorgan and Nottinghamshire websites this morning. We are still trying to fix it in the audio department from the BBC stream. .91 for naught. Lloyd 34, Byram 53. Patterson going at 3 runs and over, but it's wickets that Nottinghamshire are desperately in need of at the moment, as Patterson comes round the wicket, bowls down leg side. Patterson goes flying, Byram doesn't make contact. Patterson gives it a bit of drama. We're used to seeing that from Michael Neser for the home side. And despite Patterson's dramatic collapse, he seems to be all right and walking back quite happily to his mark. So Patterson is in again, round the wicket, bowls to Byram. That one keeps a little bit low, and it's defended back down the pitch, and there is no run. So apologies for our technical problems this morning, but we've managed to find a backup as far as the website is concerned, and we're looking for one as soon as possible for the BBC stream if you just want to listen to audio only later on today if you're out and about. Patterson in to Byram, still the 2 slips behind him. Byram defends that one to point, and there's no run. 124 the lead, and well, this game in danger of getting away from the visitors as things stand, but we've seen yesterday how wickets can fall in clumps, and indeed Glamorgan had something of a rapid decline in the middle of the first day, so certainly it's not in any way decided as yet. Nottinghamshire are out of it. There's Patterson bowls, and defended calmly by Byram to point. And there's no run. What are your impressions of the pitch? Is just occasionally keeping low still?
Yeah, normal third day wear and tear went out and had a little bit of a look. There's, as you say, the odd one is misbehaving slightly. That might, you'd know more than me about how much it deteriorates over the course of a 4-day match, but there's nothing too alarming, but just every indication now and again one is just slightly misbehaving.
Next ball is clipped off Byram's legs down to fine leg for a single, 92 without loss. Byram to 54, the lead to 125. And it's just an issue if it is keeping low occasionally, can affect the way the batsmen go at it, can't it?
When I was talking to Liam Patterson-White last night, I don't know if you can remember his dismissal, but he had one that shuttled along the ground, went underneath the bat, kept low, and it actually hit the stump, didn't knock a bail off, and then the next ball he decided to get forward. He came out of his crease, came out forward and just clipped it to Sam Northeast.
So that's driven by Lloyd, but not really timed. Runs harmlessly to mid-on, there is no run. Good tied over by Patterson, but still no breakthrough. 92 for Glamorgan, lead by 125 on this pleasant day in Cardiff. It's probably the best watching conditions really for the 3 days, because it was pretty hot on day one, probably too hot for the majority who took shelter in the shade, and then day 2 is sort of overcast, sultry, bit humid.
Yeah, agree with you. Always seems, for whatever reason, a much better game of cricket when you've got a bit of blue sky overhead. Makes things certainly appear a little brighter. We've got Dane Patterson just going off for a comfort break. I'll sort out for you in a second who's come on at mid-off. Might be Fatty Singh, the young left-arm spinner. What's could probably do with him playing in this game right now. Here is their other left-arm spinner, Liam Patterson-White, in from the River End bowls. Byram down on one knee, just helps it on its way with a sweep down to fine leg for a single.
It was a confident way to bring up his half century with the reverse sweep.
Yeah, he's Fatty Singh, who's on his 12th man today. I think he'll have played here in the Royal London match last year.
Well, all the youngsters did,
Yeah.
really, didn't they?
It's Patterson White. Ian again bowling. Push into the offside and gentle jog down to the other end for David Lloyd. Morgan closing in on century opening stand here. 94 without loss. Lloyd 35. Byram 35. Leader has grown to 127. Patterson White bowls to the left-handed Byram and has led the assault this morning. Pushes this out as far as Matt Montgomery and there's no run. .94 on the board. Patterson White bowls again and this one's hit back to the bowler who just gently throws it back into the gloves of Tom Clark. He knew that Byram had come advancing towards him and made as if to make him scurry back, but wasn't thrown back to the keeper with any venom from Patterson White. Byram clips this on the leg side, beats the dive of Lyndon James, but there is protection out there with Slater. And there's one more to the left-hander, 96 without loss. And 95 without loss, it had already gone on. Byram on to 56. Play elsewhere up and down the country. Got underway on time. I see that Rory Burns of Surrey has racked up another century in that match at Scarborough as the over here comes to an end. Yorkshire made 521 with hundreds for Lythe and Tattersall. Surrey in reply 216 for 1. Other Division 1 scores, Gloucestershire in their second innings at Chelmsford are 184 for 8 against Essex. That's a lead of only 10 runs, so that might be done and dusted before too long. Warwickshire 22 for 1 in their second innings at Southampton. That's a deficit of 131 over Hampshire. The announcement that Luke Fletcher's going to come on for his first bowl of the morning. Kent Northants, Kent 314 for 7 now. They've got a lead replying to Northants 303. And at Southport, Lancashire 200 for 1. Replying to Somerset's 446. There are the Division 1 scores. We'll give you Division 2 in the fullness of time.
Indeed. There's Fletcher then from this Cathedral Road end. Make sure that he gets his fielders absolutely where he wants them. Down to one slip. So it's a containing strategy. Oh, there's a sweeper now going back to the grandstand boundary, away to our right. Cover boundary for the left-handed Byram. As Fletcher round the wicket bowls, and Byram just runs it away to third man, like watching a mirror image of Steve James, former Glamorgan captain in his prime, who used to joke himself about the number of runs he scored down to third man. Well, Byram, the left-handed version of Steve, seems to like that gentle steer away, which when you've only got one slip is a fairly low-risk shot.
10 wickets in the match at Chesterley Street for the evergreen Chris Rushworth. He's got 3 of the 4 Derbyshire wickets to fall there. The visitors 37 for 4, so that's a lead of only 24 over Durham with 6 wickets remaining.
As Fletcher goes over the wicket to the right-handed Lloyd, who's hit on the pads. Exclamation from Fletcher rather than a full-blooded appeal, because it was going down.
Sliding down, yeah. Merchant Taylor's School, Middlesex, Baton, 222 for 8 against Worcestershire. That's a lead of 219 over the pairs. And on the south coast, Sussex made 588, Leicestershire 182 for 2 in reply. All the scores available via the BBC Sport website.
Fletcher again from this Cathedral Road end, and that's flicked away by Lloyd. Was there bat involved, or was it just Pat? No, there's a bit of wood from David Lloyd, and there's the Glamorgan 100 up, with Lloyd on 39, Byram on 57, and Glamorgan therefore lead by 133 in this match. The 100 coming up in the 29th over, so reasonable scoring rate. But rates don't matter too much because we've got so much time left in this game.
Yes, Glamorgan very much in control here. Nottinghamshire clearly have been desperate to get amongst some early wickets this morning. It's not happened. A very productive 45 minutes for the home side.
As that is defended by Lloyd out on the offside. And there is no run. Glamorgan have had their issues with the opening partnerships this season. They haven't been that productive overall, with first stand-in Andrew Salter not being hugely prolific, and then David Lloyd has had his struggles in the last few matches since Eddie Byram came in to be his partner. There's Fletcher bowls, that's down leg side, well taken by Joe Clark, diving away to his left. Edward Bevan was checking back through the notebooks, and it's 103 I've got down as highest score for Glamorgan for the opening wicket this season. So apologies if we're not quite as sharp sound-wise as usual, but we're using a backup on the Glamorgan website as Fletcher's in and bowls, and that's defended on the offside by David Lloyd. End of the over, 100 without loss. Lloyd is 39, Byram is 57.
Ground bathed in bright sunshine right now. Looks an absolute picture. Back comes Dane Patterson. He's been off for a quick comfort break. Fatty Singh will head off and wait on the boundary edge for the next time that somebody wants to nip off the field. To have Liam Patterson-White continuing from the river end, bowling to the left-handed Byram, who's on 57. Morgan 100 without loss. Byram on the reverse. He's played that very nicely indeed, and gets a boundary first ball, putting pressure on the bowler. First ball of the over, going down and reverse sweeping him away for 4. Nicely executed. The lead up to 137, and Byram into the 60s. Very nicely played indeed. One slip, Stephen Mullaney. Ball returned to Liam Patterson-White. Just have to be aware of the possibility Byram might look to do that again. In fact, an orthodox sweep this time gets it down to fine leg. And there's a single, 105 without loss. Nick Webb just having a little break to go and try and fix some of the many technical issues we've got this morning. So Daft Richards wandered in alongside me to fill the void and tell us what he's been up to the first couple of days of the game. Bring in a second, right? As Patterson-White round the wicket bowls, and Lloyd pushes it back to him. Good morning, first of all.
Morning, Dave. Morning, everybody. Yeah, pleasure to be here. As you say, Cardiff bathed in sunshine, and good to join a game at this interesting point. Yeah, Glamorgan batting themselves into potentially winning position against the leaders. 105
without loss. Nick said he'd been on whale watch for the first 2 days. I thought you'd been out in the bay. As this one's cut away behind square, they'll get a single, and yeah, that's all they're going to get. Good work by Slater, 106 without loss, but it turns out it wasn't whale watch, it was Bale watch.
Exactly, yeah, so I was meant to be commentating here with you on the first and second day, but Gareth Bale's move to Los Angeles FC went through. Alas, I wasn't sent to California, but I was reporting on his first press conference remotely, so his dealings have taken up a bit of my time this week.
I think you should get on that gig, following his progress in person. Get yourself out there.
The request is in.
Byram on 62. He's played very nicely indeed in this innings. Patterson White bowls, in fact he leaves the crease this time, and wasn't able to do too much with it other than block it. One ball left in the 30th over of the innings. Nothing happening for Notts at the moment. They're neither able to get the breakthrough here or dry up the runs, build up a little bit of pressure that way. Patterson White in again, and Byram just happy to give him a couple of dot balls at the end of the over. Liam Patterson White through 4 overs, none for 15. Here on BBC Wales, BBC Radio Nottingham, Sport Online, Glamorgan. 106 without loss.
Yeah, pretty serene progress for Lloyd and Byram so far this morning. Nottinghamshire toiling away, but as you and Nick mentioned at the start of Luke Fletcher's first over, looking at the field, it does look like Notts perhaps trying to contain the flow of runs as they look to stay in this game. And it will be Fletcher to continue at the Cathedral Road end as he begins his long run up. He's in to Lloyd, and it just hits him on the pad. No harm done there as Lloyd picks it up and throws it to the fielder.
Yeah, just got off to the worst possible start this morning, Notts, didn't they? 20 runs coming from those first 2 runs, as you say. Instead of building up the pressure and being able to bring fielders in and really try and make these 2 Glamorgan batsmen feel that a wicket was just around the corner and they'd really got to be watchful, it almost seemed as if it had flipped the other way, runs coming almost every ball.
And here comes Fletcher over the wicket. It's a full ball which Lloyd punches down the ground, and it's fielded for no run. Do you get the impression this is a game that Notts probably think, with their position at the top of the table, that containing is maybe the way to go, and if they don't win, at least not to lose it?
Well, no, I think there's an element of being shell-shocked at what happened. I'm not sure how closely you were able to follow it yesterday, but up to tea yesterday, Notts would have felt they were in control of this game. On a very hot day, they'd put Glamorgan in, bowled them out for 318, and were well on course to go past that at tea yesterday at 250 for 4.
As Fletcher is in, again, full delivery which Lloyd defends, this time for no run.
We always talk about a batting card looking strong on paper, but that has then got to be converted to runs in the middle, and it didn't happen after tea yesterday. We had a little sprinkling of the rain. I don't think that affected things too much, but 250 for 4, straight after tea it became 255 for 4, and from there just dramatically either side of the taking of the second new ball. They lost 6 wickets for 30 runs in 11 overs, and it just wasn't on the cards. Mullaney got out, caught in the deep, a yard either side. That would have either been 4 or 6. And
Fletcher is in, and Lloyd defends once more.
As can happen when a wicket goes down, the rest sort of followed quickly. Joey Everson, a leg side strangle. Liam Patterson White could have been bowled. A ball actually hit the stump, and the bail didn't come off. He came out of his crease the next ball, just trying to make sure he wasn't beaten by some more uneven bounce, and he just proffered up a catch to Sam North East close in. And then Luke Fletcher and Matt Montgomery got out. He played beautifully, the debutant, for 80 to the second near ball, and Fletcher and Patterson went in the same over, and that was it. Bang, bang, bang.
And here is Fletcher. Again, a dot ball from Lloyd. Tidy over this from Fletcher.
From looking in a position where you'd say they were pretty much odds on to go on and get maximum batting points, they suddenly found themselves 33 behind on first innings, 17 overs left in the day, desperate for a wicket, and whatever they threw at them, Lloyd and Byram were able to resist and build up a nice, healthy opening partnership by stumps, which they've carried on this morning.
A very welcome century opening stand for Glamorgan, who've struggled at the top of the order at times this season. As Fletcher is in, that one rears nastily above Lloyd's gloves, and he does well to not get a glove or a bat on that vicious ball in the end, that from Fletcher.
A good bit of frisbee throwing from umpire Sanad. Now at the end of the over, Fletcher's one of those wearing the white floppy sun hat, and the umpire, if you saw him, frisbeed it to him. That's good work there from the official.
I think he did it at the end of Fletcher's first over as well. He quite fancies himself as a frisbee thrower, maybe.
Get down on the beach with the kids and throw their frisbee about. There's Patterson White from the river end. Comes round the wicket. Byram leaves his crease, but just happy to get there and then block the ball. And there's no addition to the total. Morgan's first hour definitely doubled the score from 53 without loss to 106 without loss. There's Liam Patterson White bowls, and Byram got into a pretty ugly position there and wasn't able to execute that sweep. I think LPW took the pace off the ball a little bit. Byram was through the sweep before the ball had got there.
Yeah, interesting, this new line of attack from Patterson White, isn't it? Changing the angle around the wicket.
Wicket more straw coloured than earlier in the contest. This is pushed back to Patterson White. No run.
And if the pitch does wear at the end of today and tomorrow, it does seem to be at this end, doesn't it?
And again bowls, and Byram plays it away on the leg side. Not sure when we last had a maiden, or whether we've had one this morning. Fletcher's 2 came yesterday, I think. 106 without loss. He certainly began the innings with a maiden. Next delivery on its way, and Byram a little push to mid-off, no run there. So Patterson White 5 dot balls here. The lead 139. Glamorgan got the lead up to top side of 280. You'd imagine they would very much be the bookmakers' favourites if the bookmakers are taking more than a passing interest in this contest. End of a maiden for Liam Patterson White. He's through 5 overs, 1 maiden now and none for 15. Glamorgan 106 without loss as we approach midday.
Yeah, slowly but surely, not applying the brakes on this Glamorgan morning so far. Fletcher and Patterson White with a couple of maidens, tidy overs, and the run's just not quite coming as easily as Fletcher has a go at frisbeeing this time.
It wasn't as elegant a catch by the umpire as Fletcher made it, actually.
No, he looked slightly startled, didn't he, when he received it?
A game within a game. Imagine if there's a drinks break and a quiet passage of play, there might be a bit of serious frisbee throwing out there with the Sunhurts.
Here is Fletcher, a full ball which Lloyd drives well, past mid-off, and that looks like it will run away to the boundary for 4. Indeed it does. That takes Lloyd on to 44, Glamorgan 110 without loss.
Just for a second there, I thought the fielder was going to have a chance, but it almost seemed to accelerate away from Liam Patterson White. Lovely looking shot. It's the perfect riposte to the maiden that was bowled in the previous over.
Yeah, just in case there was any pressure building up, that certainly will ease things for Lloyd. It was Patterson White at mid-off, a wideish mid-off, as Fletcher is back in over the wicket. Ball on a length which Lloyd whips through mid-wicket. Might think of a second run here, which they complete comfortably in the end. So another 2 to Lloyd's total. It's on to 46 and Glamorgan 112 for none. Fletcher moving to the back of his mark as Dave makes way, and we'll hear from Nick Webb shortly. Fletcher at the top of his mark from the Cathedral Road end. Ball on a length which Lloyd defends. Hamid does the fielding. As Fletcher in his big burly frame makes his way back to the top of his mark. Glamorgan lead now by 145 runs. Looking to take control of this match on the 3rd morning under blue skies at Sophia Gardens in Cardiff. Here comes Fletcher once more. 4th ball of the over to Lloyd, who's back and looking to whip it off his legs, but not quite make contact as Nick Webb returns. Morning, Nick.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, a productive morning for Glamorgan. Let's see if we can sort out our technical issues.
Yes, non-cue. To try and sort technical issues. Apologies that we haven't been able to bring you commentary on the BBC stream. It has been coming through on the Glamorgan stream. The technical gremlins getting the better of us so far as Fletcher is in to Lloyd, who defends. We can assure you that our technical colleagues in IT and communications are working on it, so hopefully we'll be able to bring you full commentary on the BBC Sport website as soon as possible. For the time being, we're on the Glamorgan stream, with the home side are making hay at the moment. David Lloyd and Eddie Byram, 46 and 62 without loss respectively. Glamorgan 102 for none, as Fletcher bustles in and bowls on a length and Lloyd defends. A little less certain of his stroke there as umpire Adnan frisbees Fletcher's hat to him once more. That signals the end of the over, and that's time for drinks. Glamorgan 112 without loss after 33 overs. They lead by 145. And as the players return to their positions after drinks, I'm joined again by Nick. Any update on the technical front?
Trying to pull a few strings, get a bit higher up in the food chain. So we're on the backup system on the Glamorgan website, and we'll get on the BBC one as soon as we possibly can. Anyway. Welcome along to those of you who are viewing on the Glamorgan or Nottinghamshire websites, where this first session is going Glamorgan's way at the moment. 112 without loss, with Eddie Byram leading the way on 62. David Lloyd on 46. This Glamorgan's best stand of the season for the first wicket, as Patterson White bowls and Byram slaps that out towards square leg. There were shouts of catch it, but it didn't reach there. I don't think he timed that at all, and they take a single down to the man on the square leg boundary.
Yeah, the way Byram charged down the wicket, it looked like he was aiming more towards the kind of mid-wicket region, but as you say, didn't quite connect cleanly with it, and it ended up squirting over to square leg.
Patterson White in again, just walks the first few paces, drags that one down a little bit, and David Lloyd just defends it. Lloyd went at the bowling early this morning with a couple of aggressive shots in the first over, but it's Byram who's at the higher scoring rate as Lloyd drives another one to cover, and it's no run. So a really positive first hour for Glamorgan as they look to get first in a position where they can't lose the game, and to one where they can win it, as Lloyd's there's some trouble with that. The ball off a thick edge running down into the gully, and no run.
Yeah, the pitch is still showing signs of some variable bounce, isn't it? There's still some life in it for the bowlers.
Yes, we've had pitches like this at Sophia Gardens this season where there's been a bit of variable bounce on the first day and it's tended to flatten out. It's deteriorating slightly, I think, today as Lloyd is forward, defending back to the bowler.
And interesting that Patterson White is coming round to the left-handed Byram as well as the right-handed Lloyd, meaning that if there were to be footmarks, they'd generally be for the left-handers at that end.
In comes the next delivery, which Lloyd tries to cut and misses. And David Lloyd, although he's got 46 on the body, doesn't quite look in touch this morning, does he?
No, he's struggled for runs in this format this season, hasn't he? I was looking at his averages before this match started and just a touch under 24 in the county championship before this encounter this season. So we know he's a very aggressive batter when he gets going. We've seen that in the T20 competition this season. He's a fluent stroke breaker when he's in touch, but as you said, just scratching around a little bit. But this will do his confidence some good, won't it? 46 at the moment. If you get past 50 and maybe play with a little more confidence, get those feet moving, who knows, there might be a decent score on offer for him.
The pause for yet another ball check. It doesn't look like there's been a change, but this really is a serious problem in the UK game this season with the quality of the balls that are going soft a little bit early and going out of shape a little bit early as well. Yeah. It seems to be getting to the players and no doubt to the umpires.
We've seen it at all levels, haven't we? In the domestic game and internationally, we saw quite a few ball changes in the recent Test match between England and India's men. Fletcher begins his new over the wicket to the left-handed Byram. It's just back of a length, and Byram plays that to point for no run.
Yes, I did get a very blunt assessment off one umpire off the record as to the quality of balls at the moment. It was not repeatable on air.
Yeah, change of ball might just be what Nottinghamshire need here. They're in need of something different to what's gone on so far this morning as Fletcher is into Byram. It's a ball on a good length which Byram defends. There's not been much in the way of scares or danger for Glamorgan so far. A couple of balls which have bounced a little more or a little less than would be to be expected from a good length, but in the main, pretty steady and comfortable progress for the openers so far this morning. As Fletcher wipes his brow, applies a little sweat to shine this troublesome ball as he's in over the wicket to Byram, who again defends on the offside for no run. It can be hard toil, can't it, on a morning like this when the batters are well set. The ball isn't doing much and the conditions make for quite taxing, sweaty conditions for bowlers and fielders alike.
Indeed. Glamorgan's best opening partnership of the season. Previous best was 103, check it back. Lloyd and Salter at Derby.
As Fletcher steams in again. Byram edgishly plays this down to third man where the ball looked that it was going to be stopped. Well, that's a bad fielding error on the boundary by Dane Patterson, it looks like. And that's a streaky-ish boundary for Byram. He moves on to 67. Glamorgan 117 without loss. A lead of 150.
Yeah, it looked as though he was getting there in time. And somehow the ball eluded him and was over the ropes at third man. Last thing Mullaney and his troops need this morning.
Yeah, especially when they're looking to contain Glamorgan with what is quite a conservative field. Still only one slip in place. Not many in catching positions. As Fletcher is in to Byram. Good ball on off stump, which Byram defends. Fletcher threatens to shy at the stumps, perhaps frustrated by the fielding error which led to that boundary in the previous delivery.
Looks like there should be a good contest between Middlesex and Worcestershire. Middlesex have been dismissed for 240 in their second innings, leaving Worcestershire 238 to win at that Merchant Taylor's school ground. No 50s in the Middlesex second innings. Clearly a bowler's wicket there.
As Fletcher continues to Byram, who drives towards point, and that's excellently stopped. Just backward of point by Lyndon James. Good fielding there to end the over. Glamorgan 117 without loss. Still lead by 150.
Yeah, blue skies above, but a little rain cloud maybe over the Nottinghamshire dressing room at the moment. And maybe that fairly slender advantage of 33 on first innings has affected the mindsets, because we were expecting for most of day two that Nottinghamshire would rack up 400 and put Glamorgan under pressure. Patterson White then from the River Taff end is into bowl, and Lloyd cuts hard but will pick up just the single down to the man on the cover point boundary in front of that empty grandstand that isn't generally used for championship matches. It is a bit closer to the action than usual because the pitch is away to the right of the square towards the grandstand and away from the pavilion. Patterson White in, bowls. Byram just turns it into a gap on that leg side now. So the same man called into the action on the boundary, but another single. Byram moves on to 68, 119 for naught. David Lloyd works on the leg side and will move one closer to his prospective half century. Goes under 48, 120 for naught. And the advantage for these batters is that there's no pressure on time. No need to particularly get on with it, playing everything on its merits as Byram is forward to defend. And given that we've had 67 runs added in 72 minutes without a loss, batting hasn't always looked particularly easy, but Glamorgan have taken their scoring opportunities as Patterson White bowls to Byram, who comes down the wicket, drives to mid-on, calls for a single. David Lloyd was a little slow off the mark, but he was through safely. It was a well-timed, well-judged single because Byram had played it well wide of mid-on. 121 for naught. Lead 154. You're on the Glamorgan and Nottinghamshire websites. As Lloyd drives into the offside, scrambling stop at cover, and there's no run. End of the Patterson White over, tidy enough, asking questions on occasion, but still the singles mount up, and with so much time, 5.5 sessions nearly left in this game, Glamorgan's lead is already looking a significant one at 154.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to keep our listeners updated, I'm told that our colleagues in Cardiff and Salford are still working on the issues with the BBC Sport website commentary, so hopefully that will be back up and running soon. For the time being, as Nick says, we're on the Glamorgan and Nottinghamshire website streams as Luke Fletcher continues from the Cathedral Road end to Eddie Byram, who leaves a ball outside off stump which keeps very low.
Yes, that really grubbed through to keeper Clark on. Only just made it on the second bounce, I think. Almost third bounce. If you'd been standing a metre or so further back. And that is, well, in some way a heartening sight for Nottinghamshire's bowlers, but maybe a worrying one for their batters who have to go in the fourth dig. They'll be hoping that the sunshine that we've got at the moment is going to flatten things out.
Well, the forecast is certainly very promising for today and tomorrow. Sunshine to continue, as is the case for much of the UK right and through until next week and beyond. The heat wave really taking hold on the weekend. As Fletcher pauses, as Stephen Mullaney changes his field slightly, but here comes Fletcher. Big frame, bowling just short of a length, and Byram pushes that onto the offside for another comfortable single. Glamorgan really able to milk this Nottinghamshire attack for pretty easy singles, and there's a no ball signal there by umpire Adnan. Fletcher overstepping, it seems. The last thing Nottinghamshire need, really. And probably the last thing Fletcher wants. Longer overs in these rather energy sapping conditions. And he sets off on his run. Lloyd on strike now. Fletcher is in and Lloyd works it off his legs to square leg for another easy single. Glamorgan moving on to 125 without loss. The lead now up to 158, and Lloyd is just one run away from his half century.
He's had to work hard for it, hasn't he?
Yeah, not a typical Lloyd innings, is it? Where he's had to kind of grind out the singles and work harder. A watchful innings so far for a player who's usually pretty free-flowing with his attacking strokes, as Fletcher comes round the wicket this time to Byram, who leaves it alone outside the off stump. I guess this is a big part of opening the batting, isn't it, in the county championship? Seeing off the new ball, surviving those tricky spells, something perhaps that Lloyd has struggled to do at times this season, but this has been an excellent innings so far, setting Glamorgan what could be a very solid foundation for a victory push later on today and tomorrow. As Fletcher continues around the wicket to Byram. Ooh, that bounces quite awkwardly for the batter. He leaves it alone, well though.
Yes, man as tall as Fletcher is going to extract a little bit of bounce now and again, you would have thought, but Byram may have withdrawn his bat a bit late there. I think the ball had actually just gone past him by the time he realised it probably wasn't one that he should have played.
Yeah, Fletcher, as you say, still extracting bounce of that big old frame of his. A man who knows these parts well, having played for the Welsh Fire in last season's 100. He's in and around the wicket to Byram, who nudges that onto the offside for a single. One more ball to come in this over. Yeah, a couple of Notts players were here last year for the 100. Ben Duckett, one of Welsh Fire's star performers. He's away on England Lions duty at the moment.
Yeah, got some runs in the unofficial match against South Africa yesterday. I hope he gets more in the official match against them tomorrow. South Africa here in Cardiff on T20 date later in the month, a fortnight tomorrow.
As Fletcher comes in over the wicket to Lloyd, who leaves that ball alone outside off stump, and that ends the 37th over with Glamorgan 126 for none, a lead of 159.
That's already looking, as we've been saying, pretty significant in the context of this game. And Nottinghamshire, well, they'll be absolutely desperate to get in for wickets get in the wickets before lunch, otherwise that'll be a fairly quiet dressing room, we would have thought. Patterson White's first delivery is just clipped away on the offside by Byram, and they'll go through for a single.
Seen Patterson White operating a spin this end, just having a look at a few of the scorecards. Just the 8 wickets for Simon Harmer in the second innings, Essex's match against Gloucestershire. 13 wickets in that match for him.
Nice delivery from Patterson White, turned away on the leg side by Lloyd, no run.
Yeah, back-to-back 10-fers for Harmer in his last 2 matches.
As forward comes Lloyd and defends. No run. If you want to give us your thoughts on this game. Web 2017, Dav Pritchard. Brace Cricket on Twitter as Lloyd steps back and slaps that through the offside, and will take the single that will take him to his half-century. Acknowledges the applause of the Sophia Gardens crowd, but knows there's more work to be done. It's a fairly brief acknowledgement. It came off 103 deliveries, included just the 5 fours. As Patterson White bowls to Byram, comes down the wicket, drives beautifully through the covers. He'll get 4 runs here. That'll run away to the River Taff end, and Byram looking confident and looking fluent at the moment.
Yeah, Byram has been a very welcome addition to this top order since returning from injury. A century earlier this season, looking very composed and comfortable with his game in this innings so far on 76.
Well, it would be nice if Glamorgan could get 2 opening bats firing at the same time. Patterson White over the wicket to Byram, comes down the wicket again, drives this time straight to Hamid at cover. And there's no run. 132 for
David
North.
Lloyd's 50 came off 103 balls. It included 5 fours.
So just 5 fours in his 50 compared to Byram's 9 in his half-century, which gives you an idea of the relative fluency. Lloyd's had to work harder, but Byram, to be fair, has received 23 more balls. So
returning to bowl, Brett Hutton.
Difference in the scoring rate is not that great overall, as Brett Hutton comes back into the attack. Not quite sure how much of the public address system you're able to pick up on the Glamorgan website at the moment, since we're on backup cans and string today. 132 for North. The lead is 165 as Stephen Mullaney goes back to his opening bowler. We haven't seen Joey Everson used yet. Lyndon James is an option as well, so may see a little more shuffling of the pack from Mullaney this afternoon.
Yeah, you get the impression the longer Nottinghamshire go without breaking this opening stand, the more Mullaney might look to his more part-time bowlers, as Hutton is in. Short ball, which Lloyd slaps away past point. There'll be a 1 run here, comfortably for Lloyd. Yeah, Nottinghamshire have plenty of bowling options, but as you say, been pretty limited in their deployment of them so far. Still a containing field for Hutton, just the 1 slip, nobody else in a catching position. Looks more like a one-day field really at the moment, as Hutton chats to his captain Mullaney at mid-off. Slip comes a little straighter for Hutton as he comes around the wicket to Byram. Another short ball which Byram pulls well backward of square. He's picked out a fielder in fields to keep that down to just a single. Glamorgan 134 without loss.
Yes, and despite the odd little bit of the pitch misbehaving to a minor extent, Nottinghamshire have induced a few plays and misses, but nothing in the way of specific chances so far in this morning's play. We've got 36 minutes to try and fix it.
Here comes Hutton to Lloyd, a full ball this time, which Lloyd drives and Hamid fields. No run. It looked just for a moment that Hutton was going to employ a short ball tactic. A couple of shorter deliveries to Byram and Lloyd. There's a deep square leg and fine leg for both batters, so the option is there for Hutton to dig it in and test these two batters with a shorter ball. Yet to see how much of a response he'll get from the pitch from that plan of action as he comes in over the wicket to Lloyd on a length, and Lloyd plays that on the onside for another comfortable single. Glamorgan continue to keep the scoreboard ticking over. Lloyd is now on 52, Byram 77, and the lead up to 168.
Yeah, ticking over is generally a good way of describing the progress of Glamorgan this morning. And a consultation between Mullany, Hamid offering a few thoughts, and the bowler Hutton. And as a result of that, you will see a man jogging across your picture. In fact, a couple of them. Hamid is going out to mid-wicket, and James is going back on the leg side as well. All sorts of movement on the leg side. Do you think this is going to be a short ball by any chance, or a double bluff, as they've now got two fine legs, well, a fine leg and a backward square leg, a forward square leg, two forward square legs, there's one in the deep, one next to the umpire, and a mid-wicket. Bluff or double bluff?
Let's see as Hutton begins his run around the wicket to Byram. It is a short ball, and Byram looks to pull it, but just plays it into the ground in front of him.
Yeah, bottom edge that one down. So that was the one that was bowled to his field. That'll be another one, or will it be an off-stump Yorker?
Judging by the last delivery, Byram is quite happy to take on the short ball, even with that leg side heavy field. As Hutton is in around the wicket, again short, and Byram pulls well, controlled along the ground. Backward square does the fielding, just a single. Umpire Adnan tosses the hat to Hutton again, enjoying his frisbee throwing, and that's the end of the over. Glamorgan 136 without loss.
Yeah, the impression of watching Eddie Byram bat in the Championship so far is that he's quite happy to control his shots. As we saw there, his hooks and pulls are often hit down into the ground anyway, even when they're not a host of fielders waiting square and behind square on the leg side for what was a fairly obvious strategy by Hutton. So Patterson White will continue to wheel away from the River Taff end in the afternoon sunshine, as Byram sweeps. There's an appeal from Clark, I think for caught behind rather than LBW. We have glad tidings. Apparently the BBC Sport website is up and running, so welcome along if you're listening via that means. That one's defended out on the offside and there's no run. We've sneaked the back road between Cardiff and Salford. Alison White is into bowl. Byram sweeps and will pick up 4 runs. That one forward of the man at square leg and square of the man at mid-wicket. Bisected them perfectly, so the presence of a sweeper on the mid-wicket boundary was not needed. 140 for naught, or was not effective. Glamorgan lead by 173 runs. Welcome along if you have just joined us on the BBC Sport website. We apologise for the technical issues, which we've worked at length to sort out, as Byram wants a single there and pushes out on the offside. Hamid is alert to that, and Lloyd was firmly parked at the non-striker's end.
Yeah, that sweep shot Byram's been looking to play for the past few overs from Patterson White. Finally connects with it there.
As down the wicket comes Byram. He goes big this time. That has been firmly nailed. That is going soaring up into the far distance at the River Taff end. as Byram nails a maximum and moves on to 88's not out.
Yeah, that's cleared the stand there, so any cyclists or runners running behind Sophia Gardens better look out. That was a pretty sweet strike from Byram. He's now on 88. Glamorgan, 146 without loss now. That lead up to 179. Now, if they're 200 in front by lunch, you think they would fancy their chances of victory from here.
Yes, I'm just wondering that if Glamorgan do have an option, do they declare and give Notts half an hour tonight? Potentially. I'd be minded to bat on if I were David Lloyd. Maybe half an hour tomorrow morning and give the Nottinghamshire batters a hard day in the field today. But we're a long way from that. Nottinghamshire may well have input and prevent a declaration, but they haven't made a breakthrough yet. As saw 6 wickets fall post-tea yesterday. We saw Glamorgan lose 5 in pretty quick succession in the middle of their innings on day 1, so we can't take anything for granted in this fine game. 146 for naught, lead 179. I have a suitable ball for Patterson White to bowl to Byram, who will get more runs here, or there will be runs, down to fine leg, just a single in fact, and there was no contact on the way through as Byram shaped a leg glance. It eluded Joe Clark standing up and ran down to fine leg for a bye. 147 for naught, the lead is 180.
Yeah, another ball change there after Byram's 6 into the River Tav ended the involvement of that particular ball. Then anyone going for a nice summer stroll might pick themselves a match ball memento.
Yes, it's another reason for cyclists to wear helmets. Well, they should be wearing helmets anyway along the Taff Trail, but particularly when they're passing Sophia Gardens.
Yeah, they might have justifiably thought they were safe with it being a county championship match, but not these days, not in the age of baseball. It's infectious. Brett Hutton will continue from the Cathedral Road end, and he'll continue with his leg side field and what we assume will be more short stuff. Indeed it is, and Byram hooks this powerfully this time. Another boundary for Byram. He's really starting to accelerate now, and no matter the fact that there are 3 men deep on the leg side boundary, Eddie Byram is on the attack. He's on 92 and Glamorgan pass 150.
Well, Byram there hit it deliberately straighter than all those fielders. They were looking for the top edge somewhere around square leg, backward square leg, fine leg, and he smacked it through mid-wicket, so really going for it. So probably time to give Mr. Bracegirdle a blast here on BBC Sport Online. Thank you for bearing us the glad tidings, and on the Glamorgan cricket website.
As Hutton continues around the wicket to Byram, who again makes room for himself and slaps it through mid-wicket. It's a chase on here, and it's another boundary for Byram. Hutton went short again. Byram pulled, but again in front of those fielders on the leg side boundary. Hooked it down. He's on to 96. Glamorgan are 155 without loss, and they lead by 188. Mullaney and Hutton in conversation now after that latest delivery as Dave Bracegirdle joins us once more.
Yeah, just an update for Radio Nottingham that said let's see if there's any wickets, any woohoo down there in Cardiff, Dave. To say it was more boohoo than woohoo. Right now, at the time I did that, I think they were looking for the ball in the river at the far end. Byram's unleashed a couple of big blows here, and that's almost rubbing salt into the Nottinghamshire wounds here. This is a colossal lead. It's a terrific partnership. Absolutely full marks to Lloyd and Byram for the way they've come out today and taken the fight to Nottinghamshire, and they're almost scoring at will again.
Yeah, the field spreads once again. square leg and fine leg remain on the boundary as Hutton comes around. This time it's a fuller ball which Byram whips away just backward of square for a single. Yeah, the short stuff proved to be relatively short-lived after Byram hit him for consecutive boundaries.
Yeah, I don't mind trying something. I don't mind having a plan. It's always better to be proactive rather than reactive. Try and make something happen. Try and be creative. Try and force an error if you like. But I also applaud the fact that, okay, that's not worked. We've given it a go. Let's try something else. And there's a lot of dialogue. Look, Stephen Mullaney and the bowler are just having a little look, and what can we do now to try and pick up this wicket.
Yeah, it's a more conventional field now as Lloyd faces Hutton, who is over the wicket and in. Full ball, which Lloyd defends. Yeah, as you say, promising that Nottinghamshire at least recognised that it wasn't working and weren't too proud to just continue ploughing on with a tactic, which we do see teams do on occasions, don't we?
Yeah, we've often seen this sort of leg side ploy, if you like, the modern equivalent of bodyline, when you've got somebody like James Patterson or Stuart Broad in your side, express pace, and it has worked, to be fair, against a number of sides. But with every respect, Brett Hutton's talents aren't bowling 88, 89 miles an hour.
And here is Hutton again, and bullish, and Lloyd plays and misses. Very unlike the rest of his innings, that Lloyd. Wild drive outside off, but it did keep low, just looking at that replay.
Yeah, it kept low after the stumps though, scuttled along the ground to Joe Clark.
Perhaps Lloyd seeing the fun Byram has had over the last couple of overs and thinks he fancies a bit of that himself.
Well, Notts would hope that would be the case. You're looking for a false shot, whereas the sensible thing for Lloyd to do is accept that Eddie Byram's in sparkling form and just keep getting in on strike.
Here is Hutton to Lloyd, who looks to work that off his legs and hits his pad at half appeal, but no interest from Adnan, who frisbeed it almost onto Hutton's head. And the crowd show their appreciation.
Just about the highlight of the morning for me.
It's even got a replay on the stream.
If you're watching, or if you're not watching the live stream, umpire Hassan Adnan at the end of overs, when it's been Luke Fletcher and now Brett Hutton from this, and they're bowling with the white floppy sun hats on at the end of the over, the umpire has been frisbeeing the hat back to them, and on that occasion, from a distance about 15 yards away, just about got it on Brett Hutton's head. Terrific effort. Daff, in the time-honoured tradition, whenever a batsman is nearing a major milestone, the home commentator or the commentator of that particular bat has to pick up the reins and either guide them to the milestone or be the commentator's curse. So I'm going to leave it with you.
Okay, thanks very much, Dave. Yeah. I hope I'm not a curse. I certainly wasn't a good luck charm when it came to the technology of commentary this morning. Let's hope.
Do you know, I made one email, and 2 minutes later it was on. Don't think it was anything to do with me, mine. But here's Joey Everson. Here's Daff Pritchard.
Will Everson be the golden arm? That ball, Byram just plays onto the offside for a single. So Everson's first ball goes for one.
You've got yourself off strike. So apologies. There's been technical issues this morning, as no doubt if you've been following the game, you'll be well aware. Out of our hands. We've been ploughing on here in South Wales in what is now glorious condition. Well, it's been okay, I guess, all morning. I mean, I guess you'd have to speak to the people that have been sat outside in the fresh air, but it seems to be okay. Here's Everson from the River End. Lloyd is on 52. The skipper been left in his wake by Byram. Steers this to backward point, and there's no run. So we've got 20 minutes or so to go until lunch. We haven't as yet had a session in the match that's been completely free of wickets, but this is me doing my bit here. But this is very much looking as if that is going to be a session without any wickets falling. I tried. The umpire at the far end is Mark Newell. This one's cut away. Byram will get, I beg your pardon, Lloyd will get a couple of, be better, I think. Hopefully you were looking. You'd be better at describing what happened there than me, because this has happened right in the corner of the daffodil stand, just out of my eye line. But it's obviously gone for 4.
And it's Dane Patterson again. He had a misfield early today, and it just looked like he lost his footing there. In fairness to him, it was looking like he might have been sliding on the boundary to cut off. Would have been quite a regulation stop, but yeah, just lost his footing.
161 without loss. Lloyd now on 56, courtesy of that boundary, helped by the sound of it by Dane Patterson. Pushes this one back to Joey Everson, who didn't manage to get a wicket in the first innings. Only made 2 with the bat yesterday, so Joey will be looking for a big couple of days here to complete the week in Cardiff. Wickets today for him, and presumably not so back tomorrow. Runs if required, as they say. This one's played up to mid-on, and Luke Fletcher, all 6'6" of him, bends down and picks the ball up in those huge bucket hands, makes it look like a pea in a normal person's hands. The lead is 194. I don't think David Lloyd will be thinking about declaring at lunch. Plenty more runs out there to be had. Next ball's driven back to the bowler, well stopped Joey Everson, and that's a tidy enough over. There's a single at the start of it. Oh no, of course there wasn't. There was the boundary and then the single. So 5 runs coming from the over as Hutton and the umpire again play floppy sun at Frisbee. 161 without loss.
Yeah, I know you only mentioned in jest, but I wonder, at the back of Lloyd's mind, you know, I'm sure he won't be getting too far ahead of himself at this stage. He'll be concentrating on his batting, but you do wonder, you know, later in the day how they play it.
The chat will come at tea. Where are we at tea? Do we need to bat right until the end of the day and hope and think on this wicket we can bowl knots out tomorrow? Do we need to have a little go this evening, and if so, how many overs? 8, 10, 15? And of course, you know, what is the lead by that stage of the day? The way they're going, it's going to be getting on towards 400.
Hutton is around the wicket to Byram, who's on 98. Looks to play it on the leg side, but that one goes by without touching bat or pad.
Looking at the bowler's reaction here, Joe Clark went a long way to his right, got a glove to it. I'm not entirely sure the replay on the, I'm still looking at Brett Hutton, and Brett has just stuck it up. Sounds rude to say it, he's just stuck his finger up to Stephen Mullaney, but presumably Mullaney would have said, did he nick it? And Brett made the signal that you'd expect an umpire to signal. I'm sure he did. Not actually seen a replay on the stream. I don't know if it came up whilst I was looking, but I just wonder if there was just a little bit of a tickle down the fine leg there.
Yeah, quite possibly by the bowler's reaction, as Hutton is in around the wicket once more to Byram, who defends on the offside. A really pained expression on his face as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if our production crew, either whenever they get it ready or at the end of the over, is able to pop up a replay. That'd be nice to see it again. Again, I would say though it's going to be very difficult to detect a deflection, but just looking at the body language when it occurred for Brett Hutton, you might feel that there was a tickle.
Here is Hutton around the wicket to Byram, who looks to drive quite anxiously by the looks of things outside off stump. Playing a miss, much unlike Byram so far today, who's been in excellent form, looking very composed, but maybe, just maybe, those nervous 90s are starting to play on his mind. Hutton goes to the back of his point. Sun still beating down here in Cardiff. Another glorious day as Hutton charges in around the wicket. Full ball, which Byram works onto the leg side. Mid-wicket will come round to field it. Byram considers the second but thinks better of it. He's now on 99. Glamorgan 162. They lead by 195.
Just an apology for the live stream not working, but by live stream I mean the audio stream by the BBC Sport website, but yeah, definitely blaring out here. So thanks for the apology, folks. But it does seem to be behaving at the moment.
Hutton now over the wicket to Lloyd on a length which Lloyd defends. One more left in the 43rd over. Lloyd a little more composed now than he was in the previous Hutton over, playing and missing. As Hamid gets to work on the ball, which was changed after Byram plonked the last one into the river off the bowling of Patterson White.
Yes, if these balls aren't going out of shape, they're going for a swim instead.
Here comes Hutton running in over the wicket. Full ball, which Lloyd reaches for, and will get a single in the offside. He moves on to 57 at the end of the 43rd over. Glamorgan are 163 without loss, a lead of 196.
Just laughing again at the attempt by the umpire to frisbee the floppy sonat onto the head of Brett Hutton. Went for a little stroll last night in the city centre. We know there's no match referee for this game because the designated match referee was unfortunately taken poorly the day before the game, so there's no match referee. And I wasn't aware he was on the ground at all, so I went a little stroll in the city centre, and who do I see there but former first-class cricketer and of course for the last 20 years former first-class umpire Ian Gunnar Gould, as Everson starts a new over bowling to Lloyd, and he is here on the ground as an umpire's assessor. But he was on the phone, so I'm afraid it was just a thumbs up and all the rest of it. Unless he saw Bracegirdle come in and thought, well, I'd better get my phone out, pretend I'm speaking to somebody. But I did see him out there chatting to the umpires and the ground staff this morning before the start of play. So Gunnar Gould is here on the ground. So I'm sure he would approve of the frisbee game going on with the sun out. Single taken by Lloyd, which means I can shut up for a minute because Byram is on 99.
And if it's any consolation, we've all had that treatment. Even if it was a pretend phone call, we've all had that in the mix zone when you're trying to interview cricketers, footballers, rugby players.
Oh, you speak for yourself. They come rushing to me to pour out their thoughts.
Right, Mulaney bringing in the field now. Byram on 99. Everson over the wicket from the river end. And Byram defends. He'll have to wait one more for the century. Byram already reached 3 figures for Glamorgan this season. Been a very welcome return from injury for him.
He's not a good player in this innings, to be fair. Played very positively today. 28 not out overnight.
Here is Everson. Byram drives straight back to the bowler. No run. 2 more balls left in this over.
Yeah, not someone to keep him on 99 for as long as possible. We're 10 minutes away from lunch. They'd do well just to starve him of the strike for 10 minutes. I don't think that's likely.
Here comes Everson over the wicket to Byram, who drives, looks tentatively at a single but thinks better of it as Hamid does the fielding.
You'd like to think the fielding is on point all the time anyway, wouldn't you? But certainly when somebody's on 99, senses are heightened, fielding skills are sharpened, everybody's walking in with a little bit more of a spring in their step. They're determined not to let him push and run, get a quick single and get the 3 figures.
Absolutely. Here comes Everson over the wicket to Byram, who looks to work it down the leg side. That's a boundary. Did it come off the bat? No, leg by signalled. Byram will have to wait for his century, but 4 runs added to Glamorgan's total. They move on to 168 without loss, and that takes their lead past 200. They're 201 runs in front.
Yeah, they can declare at lunch. I think 1 or 2 started clapping. Of course, Eddie Byram knew he hadn't got any bat on that. So There's still plenty of time, isn't there? There's a full 10 minutes before the luncheon interval, 3 overs, you'd imagine. Able to get himself on strike. Lloyd, meanwhile, on 58. Here's Brett Hutton, beginning his 10th over. No maidens, none for 43. So Brett a little expensive in this innings, as most of them have in truth. First ball is chopped to Joey Everson at backward point. There's no run.
Yeah, you wonder when Byron is on strike, what knots are employing here. Is it, do you chat a bit more, or do you give him the silent treatment?
Oh, they'll chat. They'll chat. Won't necessarily be aggressive. I mean, the Luke Fletcher chat is genuinely brings a smile and a laugh and a giggle. Another way of taking a batsman out of his zone. This is a nice looking push up to Patterson at mid-off, who stopped it, and there's no run. The game at Chelmsford, as we've always said, that's probably the one that is most likely to finish first in Division 1. Essex are 28 for 1, needing 51 more runs to win to beat Gloucestershire. 168 without loss. Hutton, right arm, bustling medium pace. Then he bowls, and this one into the thigh pad. Comes away down to long leg. And that brings Eddie Byron back on to 99. On strike, the lead 202. This must be a big moment here, because Daff has handed over the headphones to Nick to maybe jinx the former Somerset man. Over to you.
Potentially. 147 balls he has faced so far, Eddie Byram. Looking to get to 3 figures for the second time for Glamorgan. As in comes Hutton, right arm around, bowls, and Byram defends on the offside. And there's no run in Nottinghamshire, as is only right and proper. Bringing in a few fielders and making sure that there is no cheap run to be had. He's accelerated well this morning, Byram, given that David Lloyd, who has faced fewer deliveries, is still trying to play his way back into red ball form. Really taking the pressure off his captain. Hutton then into bowl to Byram, and he works that on the leg side, thinks about a quick single, but it wasn't there. As the bowler dashed across, as did Lyndon James from mid-wicket.
Just quickly, 30 seconds before Brett Hutton gets back to his mark, Worcestershire got off to a bit of a flyer in that game at Merchant Taylor's. 51 on the board, only in the 8th over, and Ed Pollock, he can be a dangerous player at the top of the order. He's hardly scored a run for Worcestershire, but he's on a flyer at the moment, 30 off 21 with 3 fours and a 6. Worcestershire require 187 more.
Hutton is in to bowl to Byram on 99, not out, as delivers that one. Byram turns it on the leg side. David Lloyd thinks of a single as well, but it really wasn't there. And Byram just looking a bit fidgety there, because there was not, in any universe, apart from maybe the last ball of a T20 game, a single there.
I'll tell you what, Byram wasn't necessarily the most fidgety there. Lloyd was, it almost seemed as if he was prepared to sacrifice himself to ensure his partner got his 100. He went racing down. Just trying to think, last night there was a shy at the stumps from Joey Everson, wasn't it, very early on. Well, I can't remember which one of them it was that would have been out, but it might have even been as early as the first over. There was almost a suicidal run, and there were shapes of that just there.
Indeed, it shouldn't be nerves, because he's got 100 for Glamorgan already, Byram.
Here's Everson from the River End, bowling to the right-handed Lloyd, who plays this. Oh, he's got a fortunate single there, because he's pushed it down to the far end, and I've seen that 2 or 3 times in this game actually. I think that's the first time that they've profited with a run, because it's clattered into the stumps at the non-striker's end and deflected away from Luke Fletcher, who would have comfortably got round and stopped the ball. 170 without loss, the lead 203, and once again it's Operation Byram.
It is indeed. Ed Byram, who hit 176 against Sussex in his first championship innings of the season for Glamorgan, is on strike on 99, turns that on the leg side. There are two fielders in close, saving the single. There is no single to be had there. So there are three saving the single on the leg side. On the offside there's a slip, backward point, cover point, extra cover, and mid-off. There is not a dab and run to be had anywhere apart from fine leg, I guess. If he can turn one off his hips. Can he pierce the field? Everson bowls. Byram drives, but straight to mid-off. Throw. It was fizzing back towards Joe Clark.
I think we'd have a... can we have a look at the ball now, please, umpire? Just soak up a minute or two here. Get it towards 1 o'clock. If they can't get him out, they'd love to have him 99 not out at lunch and 40 minutes to stew on it, as they say.
Next delivery from Everson. Hits Byram on the pad. There's a big appeal for LBW. He was fair way forward, was Byram there. And I think that was for effect more than anything else, that appeal.
Deterred the single. I think it'd probably been a leg bite anyway, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I don't think there's any bat involved.
Yes, we've already had one off the pad from Byram on 99, but all of a sudden he's looking a bit scratchy as Nottinghamshire try to prey on his mind. In comes Everson, bowls to Byram, pulls on the leg side, and that roar of relief tells you that Eddie Byram has got the single down to backward square leg to reach 3 figures, punches the air with his bat in relief. 154 balls for Byram, and that century has included 15 fours and 1 6. So tremendous knock by Byram, accelerating and really taking the momentum on himself this morning.
Yeah, very well played, Eddie Byram. Lloyd plays this out onto the leg side. A lot of the jeopardy's just gone out of the last few minutes of this session now. Here are the figures again.
154 balls that included 15 fours and 1 6.
So he'll enjoy his lunch, provided they safely negotiate the final over of the session here. Glamorgan with that huge lead. And power to add, certainly lead by 204 with 5 sessions left in the game. Well battered Eddie Byram.
Yes, if Glamorgan look at 100 a session,
well,
will they pull in tonight? Will it be half an hour before the end tonight or half an hour into tomorrow? Hutton is in to bowl to Byram, who runs one down to third man for a single. 172 without loss.
Well, you have much insight into what the surface will do tomorrow as they do. So what should they do? Do they need as many overs today as they can at Notts to try and winkle out 1 or 2, or will 96 overs be sufficient?
I would be tempted to have a couple of overs tomorrow morning just to annoy Nottinghamshire and give themselves 90 overs to bowl out the visitors. Which may be slightly on the cautious side. 172 for naught. Lloyd on strike on 60. As Hutton bowls and Lloyd drives and is caught at slip. There's the breakthrough that Nottinghamshire really needed. And that will be the lunch interval. David Lloyd has gone for 60. Brett Hutton has the wicket. And we'll go off to lunch a couple of minutes early here on BBC Sport Online and on the Glamorgan and Nottinghamshire websites. Lloyd caught Montgomery, bowled Hutton for 60. So Nottinghamshire just with a little something at the end of the morning. Colin Ingram will come out in just under 40 minutes time to join Eddie Byram at the wicket. But it really has been Glamorgan's morning, despite that last ball wicket. 172 for 1. Glamorgan lead by 205 runs.